Oh, Wizards, have you heard the news? That crafty little Marky Mark is at it again. You see, Maro was at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, and he decided he's just going to give us a little bit of a tease, because that's all he is a big old tease, giving us teasers all the time. But this time, even more of a catch than usual. Weirdest teaser of all time, perhaps. He gave us 8 different images from upcoming sets, all of which he says are going to be previewed in the next couple of weeks. He also, interestingly, didn't even take a single question on any of these images that we'll look at today. And apart from that, is just generally known as being a sneaky little salt in the swerve, so you never quite know what Maro's up to. But we're going to try. You know what that means. It's time for every Magic player's favorite thing. Wild speculation on a Maro teaser. Let's take a look. And I'm your favorite Magic channel's favorite Magic channel. Best believe that the professor go bananas for my deck tech. And we're back. Now, you may notice that we're not looking at these images yet. What's up with that, Dev? Let's go. Let's do the thing. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I totally get it. But just give me like more realistically 2 minutes to talk about something very Vorthosy. Again, I apologize in advance. That I do think is probably going to be pretty important when it comes to a lot of these images. So get ready for storyline gibberish in 3, 2, 1. Omen paths probably matter a great deal to at least some of these images, or that's the speculation online at this point, and I greatly agree with that. This is probably going to come up a few times in this video, so again, might as well go ahead and knock it out at this point. Now, Omen paths we already had a few of in Kaldheim. We're fairly familiar with what these things actually are. They're kind of, and Vorthoses don't hit me too hard, I'm just going to try to put it as simply as I can, kind of wormhole-y type pathways through which normal, not planeswalkers, depending on what kind of footwear you're wearing, that one's for you, Vorthos. If you're wearing the right boots, you can go through one of these omen paths and into a different plane of existence, much like planeswalking without actually having to do any planeswalking. Now, of course, I mean, I don't have to tell you because everybody knows, right, that on the plane of Kaldheim, these omen paths are tied to the world tree, but because of that invasion tree, what the Phyrexians used to invade all them other planes, now there's omen paths popping up everywhere. And now, apparently, they're different shapes than they used to be. Like on Kaldheim, they're circular, but now they're triangular because triangles are the strongest shapes. I am directly quoting Magic the Gathering story here. It gets a little kooky, but the point remains that there's all these portals popping up everywhere. Nobody knows where they lead or if you can come back when you go into them or what, right? But it even allows non-planeswalkers, again, to go to places they wouldn't normally be able to go or travel between planes. And I think more importantly, it allows a bunch of planeswalkers that just lost their spark because of all the Phyrexian nonsense to effectively continue to planeswalk to other planes. So yeah, sometimes like fantasy stories can get a little goofy, but they're good for a convenient plot device from time to time. That's what the invasion tree and all these omen paths are doing for us. But again, I think that might factor in like fairly heavily on some of these images that we got to see today. And as a matter of fact, I think it might be the ultimate swerve, and it matters on every single image that we'll see today, but I'm not too sure about that. Either way, I've wasted too much of your time not showing you pretty pictures at this point that we can just like do wild theories about. So let's get to the real fun of the video. All right, for image number 1 here, we're taking a look at who I'm calling Skull Guy, although he is so much more than just a skull. Don't sell him short. He's got the feet of a panther or some sort of big cat, right? He's got the left arm and hand of a man. He's got the right arm of a dinosaur or something like that. I think it's a dinosaur face, although it could be a chimera, although I think he himself qualifies as a kind of chimera. I'm being a nerd here. He's got the tail of like a lizard or a dragon or something. So he's a lot of different things. Upon slightly closer inspection of the image, you can see that there are giant bats in the background, some of which are being ridden by dudes, which is kind of neat, right? He's on top of a mountain. There's magma and stuff flowing around him, lava and whatnot. Not magma, lava. There's also some sort of insignia in the background here that looks an awful lot like Skull Guy himself. Finally, there's some sort of runic language or something on his collar, and there's a V in between the two sides of his collar just up under his chin there. What could that mean? There's a lot of stuff going on in this picture. Now, I guess part of my main job here is to distinguish what plane this guy comes from so we can figure out what product it's going to be coming from. Now, we know that we got an Ixalan product coming up here like pretty soon at some point, so it's likely, very likely, I think, from Ixalan. I think that is probably our best bet. But I guess if I had to do an outside shot here, I'd say Ikoria. right? Because he's a mutant, right? I could probably say that about a bunch of these arts today. It's like, oh, it looks like it could be mutated, so could be Ikoria. And honestly, there's a lot of things that kind of scream Ikoria to me about this art, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably most likely to be some sort of Ixalan art, especially considering it looks an awful lot like this card right here, you see? Especially if you don't look at the skull guy, but you look at the insignia in the background, just behind him to the left, the bottom left of the picture. I think that these things look strikingly similar. It doesn't have to mean anything, but still, the fact that he's got a dinosaur on his arm, there's bats flying around in the background that might have vampires on the back of them. It's really hard to tell, but one way or the other, this just screams Ixalan to me. However, if I just had to take a wild swing, because why not? Fantasy booking, comedy for the sake of YouTube content, I would say that that V between his collar there actually stands for Vito. That's right. Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, is back, and he somehow summoned this wild chimera demon from the depths of who knows where, and he controls it. And how cool would that be, right? I miss Vito. I think I just miss saying Vito all the time. That would be nice. Now for image 2, let's take a look at who we're calling Hydra Lady. It's a lady with a Hydra. That's how she got that name. If you take a close look at the breastplate here too, you'll see that she has Hydras on her breastplate. She really, really likes Hydras. She is a Hydra Lady, but if you look even closer than that, you'll see that there is a temple in the bottom left of the image here that stretches just under her spear there. So this looks Therosian at first glance. And beyond that, just her general steez, you know, the style of dress here, again, the breastplate, the collar, all that kind of, again, seems vaguely Therosian to me. So I would not be surprised if this was some sort of Theros product. Now, it doesn't have to be Theros, right? I mean, I could say Ixalan again, although it's worth pointing out at least once that Rosewater said that these are 8 images from 8 upcoming products, so you can't really use the same plane twice. Although maybe you can, right? Maybe these products that he's talking about are actually all Ixalan products. Who knows? Again, Mark is kind of crafty, so you really don't know what he's up to, but one way or the other, this looks mostly Therosian, but it could be Ixalan. This, you know, overgrown temple in the background of the image here could actually be a now defunct temple from those conquistador-inspired vampires that were on Ixalan. So, like, who knows what's going on here? But again, the whole vibe seems super Theros to me. But we'll move on to image number 3, which I'm calling the Cavalry, and apparently the entire internet has already figured out that this is from some sort of Lord of the Rings product, because it doesn't just have the Wizards of the Coast copyright down there, it also says copyright MEE, meaning that it is some sort of Lord of the Rings thing. And there's also an Order of the White Hand shield down here in the bottom right of the image, so apparently this has already been called, this is Lord of the Rings, and we really don't have to discuss much more about it. I think I've had enough Lord of the Rings magic stuff for the time being. Now, image number 4 is this vampire who is almost certainly Malakir from Zendikar. She's got a painted face. It's red and white. That's how the Malakir vampires paint their face. It's been in like a bunch of different arts, and we know that about them. But this is where the Omen Path thing comes up. Like, is this a vampire from, say, Zendikar, a Malakir vampire, that has somehow found its way into the Rakdos, right? On Ravnica or something like that? Because honestly, the style of dress here, the sort of corset thing, the almost circusy, right, kind of vibes that it's giving off, the dangerous yet circusy vibes, barbed wire on her hood, and she's got these like knives coming out of her cloak. Like, that is all super Rakdos coded, but as far as like, you know, the markings on her face or whatever, that is very Malakir. So it's kind of hard to tell which is which or which is going on here, but again, it could be a little bit of both at the same time given all the Omen Path nonsense. But for our next image, number 5, let's look at the cameraman. This guy's gotten an awful lot of attention here. Now, there's a few ways you could go with this guy. I mean, there's a bunch of planes that have like cities on them that look a little bit like what's reflected in the camera lens, right? There's New Capenna, Ravnica, Innistrad. I mean, but honestly, of all those 3, I would say this looks mostly like New Capenna to me. This looks like the Broker's Garden in the camera lens. The camera even looks like it could possibly be Halo powered in some way or another. At least that's the same color as Halo, isn't it? I don't know. But one way or the other, this looks New Capenna-y to me, but a lot of people have brought up that this could be from the murder mystery inspired plane that Mark Rosewater has been pitching for years at this point, and he really, really wants to do it. And there's speculation now that he's going to get to do it, and this is a picture from that product. Not sure what's going on, although one thing I do want to point out is that in this camera's reflection, you can see a guy who is kind of like, he's got an after image, right? There's a guy who is kind of outlined in green, and then behind him, a little bit of a green after image, and behind that, a little bit of a green after image. What's going on with that? Is that what he's taking a picture of? I'm not actually sure what's happening and why he's taking a picture of it. But again, this does look mostly new Capenna set to me. Just again, it looks like Broker's Garden. The camera might be Halo operated. I'm not sure about that one, but one way or the other, I'm hedging my bets on new Capenna, but I do kind of hope this is that murder mystery plane they've been talking about. Now for image number 6, we're looking at what I'm calling Redwall, although I really doubt this is Universes Beyond Redwall. There's really not a wolf that looks like this or would look like this or anything like that in the Redwall series. I have seen a couple of people say there's no magic in Redwall, so it can't be Redwall, but like there's no magic in The Walking Dead, there's no magic in Transformers, and so, you know what I mean? But I guess this wolf is a little too magical for Redwall. So I doubt it's that. It would be awesome if it was, but I doubt it's that. This is probably much more Eldraine, right? I mean, we're about to get an Eldraine product, so it's the next set coming out. So it'd be kind of sweet if this little mouse guy was some sort of, you know, Wilds of Eldraine legendary creature or something like that. But the other speculation is that we might be going back to Lorwyn. Little Lorwyn set. I don't know why that's the speculation. I can't really see anything about this other than like, it's a tiny mouse man. That's really Lorwyn, and even that isn't really Lorwyn at all when you think about it. So I'm not really sure why people are boarding the Lorwyn train. It's the set I want to go back to the most, but I have to see some pretty concrete proof that's what we're doing. My favorite speculation on this picture I've seen on the entire internet so far is somebody was just like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, are we doing a tiny animal set? And let me just say, if you're not doing that, Wizards, you need to get on it right now. Can we do a tiny animal set? Let's have that happen. Actually, isn't tiny animals just Segovia? Isn't that effectively the plane of Segovia? Can we just go there? That'd be a nice place to go. But either way, this is not Redwall, sadly, and it's probably not Lorwyn, which is even more sad in my opinion. But one way or the other, I am stoked to go wherever this little guy is. But we're on the one that people are probably talking about the most, and I mean, come on, you can see why. It's the goose, or the geese, or the goose, or the Goose Hydra, whatever you want to call this thing. It's a goose with 7 heads, I'm counting. Yeah, I think that's correct. At present, 7 heads. But a lot of people are also saying this, Lorwyn. I'm not really sure why. Actually, I'm not. I am kind of sure why. It's for a few reasons. The art style looks vaguely Lorwyn, and that's for a reason. That's because it's illustrated by Jesper Edgesing. I really hope I got that name right. I'm not very good at pronunciation, apparently. But one way or the other, apparently, this guy has mostly done pieces for Lorwyn sets in the past. So people are taking that as a sign we're going back to Lorwyn. I would be super happy to do that. I'll have to say that again. But this looks, again, more like either Eldraine, right? It's an Eldraine thing. He's even like, there's golden eggs in the basket. Do you guys see that? You guys see that down there? There's golden eggs in his, I call it a basket, in his nest. It's not a basket, but yeah, he's pooping little golden eggs there. So that's like, that is extremely Eldraine, right? But it could also possibly be Ikoria. I mean, I hate to use this excuse again, but that's a mutant goose. If I've ever seen a mutant goose, that's a mutant goose, baby. So like possibly Ikoria, but for all intents and purposes, I probably have to go with Eldraine on this one. But final image number 8 here is young Rudstein, which is what the entire internet is calling him. And I tend to agree. I do think that this is old Rudstein in young form, man. Apparently there's tale that he drives some sort of carriage, which is what he's doing here, right? He's got the same scar on the same side of his face as Rudstein. One of his eyes is bad, the same side of his face he's got the scar on. He's got the same like goatee thing going on that Rudstein has. Like, this is Rudstein right here, but just in what context? He seems a little younger. He's got a nice hat. There's skeletons and stuff in the back of that carriage. Like, what's going on here? Who knows? Now, a lot of folks are saying that this is probably an Innistrad kind of card just because it's old Rudstein, but I'm going to say again, man, omen paths. You know, some characters can go wherever they want, and if there's one guy that's going to have a special pair of boots that allows him to do that kind of thing, it would probably be a creepy merchant like Rudstein, right? So, you know, I could see, again, it's not hard to write a fantasy story where he somehow is able to go to other planes. I just don't know if we're going to be revisiting Innistrad anytime soon when we kind of just did that, right? But who knows, you know, we might be having a set coming up that visits a whole bunch of different planes, a la kind of a core set and its ability to do that, which I would actually be kind of stoked by. I love when sets do that. Find an excuse to, you know, visit a bunch of different planes at one time. And I think that they might be gearing up for a set like that, where a guy like Rudstein is in a completely different plane, right? So I don't know. I think that it's hard to call where exactly he could be, but I would bet that the least likely place he is in this picture is Innistrad. And yeah, I see that the night sky, the palette that they've used for the background here, is vaguely Innistradian, as well as sort of these buildings that you can see in the background. You can only see one real building on the left side there, but it looks a little Innistrad-y, right? So I can't for sure say that that's not where he is, but I would also not at all be surprised if old Rudstein had found his way to some wild, far-flung plane out there at this point. And that is all 8 Pikachus. How'd you feel about it, everybody? Was I completely off base on a lot of these? Or do you have a completely different idea about some of these than the entire internet does, and it's just something we have not heard yet? I would love to hear some of your ideas about what exactly is going on in some of these pictures, because it could be any wild thing at this point. Aside from that, we got a fun one coming up after this. Our next video is going to be something along the lines of top 10 cards that I want in Wilds of Eldraine. And in case you're new around here, that's original dev-made cards that I want, not reprints. Although the coffee break will probably be like top 3 reprints that I want in Wilds. But one way or the other, next video is a classic that we haven't actually done in a while. I get to make Magic cards, and you get to point out how Magic cards don't work like that, Dev. This card is a self-contained infinite combo. What are you doing? I think that actually did happen one time. Either way, stick around, check it out. Make sure you subscribe so you get that video in your inbox, and hit the notification bell for more steps to be taken. Why? Either way, it's all free to like, subscribe, and hit the bell and do all that stuff. And if you want to watch me play some Magic, we're going to be having our 3-year stream anniversary on Tuesday night, everybody. Tuesday night around 8 or 9 Eastern. Come around then. We're going to be hanging out, doing some fun stuff. Might play a little Brawl, might play a 150 card standard deck. I got some ideas lined up, so come check out the stream. It's the address on screen right now, or if you just want to go ahead and follow, I'll leave a link in the description, and then you'll get a notification when I start streaming. Aside from that, you can check out the Patreon. It is also on stream. Just $1 a month is on stream. Got that thing on the brain. It's also on screen. Just $1 a month is all I really ask to help support the channel around here, and you'll get to vote on content and whatnot. But you know, we got one more thing to do today. I shouldn't even be looking at the couch. I'm making a plan of action on what I want to pull. Don't do that, Dev. Just you got to be honest about it. Be completely honest. What is this card right here? It is an Ash Barrens. That does not feel like a very good pull, honestly. I guess technically any deck can play this card, but it's just a colorless land that taps for colorless, and it has basic land cycling 1. Discard this card, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So kind of a lay of the land on a land. So that's actually, it's not a bad card. I just wanted something a little more exciting. I don't know. Stick around. Maybe next time we'll pull the Black Lotus proxy. But it looks like a Black Lotus, right? Maybe we'll pull that next time with a Coalition Relic, the Hurloon Minotaur. That'd be some good history. There's a Black Vice. There's all kinds of fun stuff we could have pulled. Maybe next time. But anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Just let me know how you felt about all the predictions and such down there in the comment section, and I will catch you cats later. I am Deb from The Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.